Hello and welcome, my name is Charlie Roscoe, and yesterday was round 1 for the test season of the FIA GT Nations Cup and the FIA GT Manufacturer Series. I was originally going to upload both of these races in full, but as they turned out, not a lot happened. Being a 10-lap race, I was pretty much by myself for both races, so probably not the most interesting races to sit down and watch for you. So I thought I might do a highlights package of both of them instead. You can see here I have qualified second. I actually qualified second in both races, which was really good. But unfortunately, just not a lot of live action. In fact, I think just about everything happens immediately here straight away. So at the start of the race, the guy behind me got a much... I don't know if he got a better start from the rolling start or if his car just had a lot more grunt there. Either way, you can see him move all the way up the outside, but he never cut back in, made the apex, ran out wide, I presume all the way up onto the blue section on the outside. Either way, that was for a very brief moment there, I did drop back to third place, and that was the last time I do that. But I ended up just sort of following this guy. The reality is I didn't quite have the pace to go with him. I pushed as hard as I could, and we had similar pace, but I just could never really bridge the gap. We kept it fairly consistent, and I was slightly faster than the guys behind me. So if I jump forward now to lap 5, you can see that the gap to first place is very, very similar there. Try as I might, and I kept a very, very clean race, which was good. I actually got the clean race bonus at the end of it, but I just never had the pace to catch up with him. I was hoping that he would, in fact, make a mistake. You can see I'm also just built up a bit of a gap to third place. It's nice not to have any rearward pressure. It takes your mind off. You know, you don't want to have to worry about who's behind you. You want to be able to focus on what's in front of you, and I did. I was hoping first place would make a bit of a mistake. This is now on the last lap. You can see he did actually run out wide, almost have to slow down. He lost a whole bunch of time, so... Right at the end of the last lap, I thought I might actually be on for a little something here. I was having a good lap. I think this ended up being my fastest lap for the whole race as well. But even though I caught up to him, got within that 0.4 of a second gap you can see in front of you there, he did nail the last couple of turns. And you really do need to just be so much faster. I wasn't even close enough to go for a late. I won't call it a dive bomb because I don't like dive bombs. They never go well. But I did finish much closer to him, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get past. Nonetheless, big congratulations to him for winning. I'm still very, very happy with the second place. I got a load of points, and that's what this is all about. Hopefully I can do all the races throughout this championship, but I also might not be able to. So if I can't, then we'll just see how I go. But in the meantime, it's a good haul of points to get into second place. Just one more point before we do finish up there. The Grade 4 GTR that I used, one of the great things about it is the fact that you can turn traction control off completely and it still feels like you've got TC on 2. So if you're someone that's sort of learning to dial back that traction control, work towards a 0 TC, then it's a great car to use because you can literally just plant the throttle out of the corners and the thing hooks up and goes. Now, moving on to the FIA GT Manufacturer Series, this is a Grade 3 race. You do have to sign with the manufacturer for the season. Mind you, I think the season was just this week that the races are on, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. Nonetheless, I decided to sign with Porsche. I absolutely love the 911 RSR. You can see I got qualified second again there. So I'll put up a separate video talking about sort of how I went about my qualifying and how I got the best results. And yeah, I got second in both of these races, which was great. But again, it ended up being probably a fairly uninteresting race to watch. A little bit of action early on in the piece. I was a little bit quicker than Hop Road here in front of me in the early stages of the race, but it's lap 1. One thing you don't want to do is go crazy, shove it up the inside and get too stupid on lap 1. Of a 10-lap race like this, you just kind of want to be safe. The problem is here, the guy behind me in an AMG GT had just such a better run onto this back straight, plus a bit of slipstream. He was able to duck up the inside, so I did have to fold back to third, and I knew straight away that that I wanted to get back past as soon as I possibly could. And the reason for that is if you play too much of a safe game, it's too easy to sit behind someone for a little while. Meanwhile, Hop Road in first place starts to get, maybe that extra second and a half up the road. You're stuck behind second place, or whichever position you're in, you're stuck behind that person. And it's too easy just to stay safe, keep a bit of a gap, and all of a sudden that gap goes out to a second, 1.5 seconds or something, that you end up being behind them, and then you're just chasing your tail all race and you never get back past them. So I knew it was important, plus of course I didn't know where I was at with my pace versus these guys. Obviously I qualified second, but the times were very, very tight at the top, so that's not to say that this guy wouldn't have been a little bit quicker over race distance. So I did want to get back past as soon as I could. The important thing for me was to try and stick close to the back of him until I got into a position where I was able to get past. Suzuka is notoriously difficult to overtake. There's a couple of really good spots to do it, but this whole section there all the way up through the S's as you wind up the hill, none of this is any good for an overtaking manoeuvre. Yeah, sometimes it works if you see motorbikes on the track. There's a few extra spots here. This is one of the places there is, but you've got to go such a dive bomb, and it's such a tight corner as well. All the way back to first gear there, you can see I actually caught right up to him. I did notice he was a little bit slower into the turns, and I was a bit better on the brakes as well. So with that in mind, you start to build a strategy on how you're going to get past him. And again, the priority was to get straight. Now, he actually surprised me coming into this corner. He braked much more than I thought he needed to. Slight moment of panic as I thought I was going to nail him in the rear there, but I knew my drive out of this corner had to be good because obviously that GT's got a lot of grunt, that AMG in front of me. He caught up to me last time, so I wanted to stay close enough to keep in the slipstream. Now, I almost did that, but the panic was starting to set in again, that the gap was starting to grow. I wanted to get past this guy, so I'd already premeditated a overtake into this final turn. I'm a long way back, but he braked early, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. Hope not to run too wide, and I actually pulled it off. So pretty happy with how that went in the end, because it did. I did come from a long way back, but I saw that he braked early. I'd already premeditated that I wanted to try and overtake there, so I went for it, and yeah, pretty happy to get away with that. Porsche's very, very good under brakes as well. But the very next lap, he was able to stay with me. You'll see him appear on my radar there. I didn't get a particularly good turn. You just really want to back off the throttle there. But I thought he might have done the same dive bomb. I braked as late as I possibly could, and he tried to brake even later. Didn't make the corner, which was exactly what I wanted to happen. I stayed out wide, braked at the last possible second, so I knew that if he was going to outbrake me, it was going to be a hell of a manoeuvre. It didn't work for him, and finally now I've actually got some breathing room. So shooting forward to the last lap, you can see I've actually pulled away by 6 seconds over the AMG GT, so I was pretty happy to get in front of him because I'd have been miles off Hop Road. But I only managed to stay within about 3 seconds of him. I'm about 3.2 seconds back here at the moment. Just was never able to get closer, and he raced a flawless race. Didn't make any mistakes at all. So unfortunately I wasn't able to catch up. When you don't quite have the pace, you do rely on them to make a mistake. But I ran a couple of 2:01s there. I think it was the third last and second last lap I ran, which was really, really good. So I put in everything I could to try and catch him. But as I say, Hop Road just raced a little bit too clean, a little bit too well. So congratulations to him for taking the win. But just like I was in the previous race, very, very happy to get a second place overall. Got a heap of points towards it. Good experience there. You can see I didn't get the clean race trophy though, so at some point there must have been a little bit of contact. I'm not quite sure where that happened. I don't recall it happening. Well, that does conclude my highlights package of the FIA GT Nations Cup and FIA GT Manufacturers Series for Round 1, Season 1. Hopefully I can do all the rounds in this season. We'll see how I go. But in the meantime, hopefully you have enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to leave a like. Of course, hit subscribe to see more of my content. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.